Hello everyone, it's Larika here. Today we're going to have a talk again about what I've read this month, and it will be for July, what I've read in July, and maybe some things that are coming up in August. When I have been thinking about July and what I've been reading, it felt to me like it was a little bit of a slow month. But actually it wasn't. And this is why I think I like to make these videos for myself as well, because I realize that I actually read more than I think I do. And so these videos help me to get back to what I've read and to think a little bit about the books more, which is cool, I think, for myself. So July was quite exciting because I did 2 buddy reads this month. The first one was with Evie from Fairy Wren Whispers, and it was called The Magician's Elephant by Kate DiCamillo, and it's a children's book. This is how it looks. It's really a lovely book. I really enjoyed this book. It's a book about this boy. We're not sure where he lives exactly. It's some fantasy place, and he's looking for his little sister, and he thinks she passed away. She died, but then this lady that's a fortune teller tells him that he will find his sister by finding an elephant. That's all I'm going to say about this book. And so, yeah, we follow that story. And the book has got such beautiful, beautiful artwork in it. You can see there. And it's a really sweet book about hope and that there's always a way forward and to be kind and positive, and that kind of story. It's very strong in this book, so I really enjoyed it. What we did, Evie and I, is she mentioned that there was this movie on Netflix that's based on this book called The Magician's Elephant as well. And so we thought we're going to watch the movie after we read the book. And the movie had quite a few different elements to it. It was a very beautiful movie, but I think I would have enjoyed the movie more if I didn't read the book, because I went into the movie with the idea of the book. There were characters in there, and parts of the movie felt a little bit less. It felt a bit more flimsy. I don't know, I have too high expectations. So I prefer the book to the movie, but the movie was really nice. I'm sure the right market will love the movie. So yeah, very, 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 very nice book. The second book I read this month was Julie from Bookish Travels, and this was a book called The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mai Mochizuki, and it was translated by Jessie Kirkwood. This is the cover. Enjoyed this book. It was really a lovely book. For me, this book was a lot about, let me look at my notes, because Julie made a video of this, a book review of this, and she really described it so well that I will link it below and you can have a look at that video. She describes the book really well. So to tell you what the book is about, I'm just going to read a little bit of the blurb. Under a glittering full moon, a Tokyo coffee shop with no fixed location appears only when it's needed, and it is entirely run by talking cats. That says it all. So we follow these 4 characters through this book, they seem to be just separate characters, but we eventually realize that they connected somehow. And yeah, it's another beautiful book about a little bit maybe about redemption, but also about second chances and about when you do something nice or good from your heart, something will come back to you eventually. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. And what this book is as well is, I'm doing my reading plan for myself, and I have 4 pillars, and one of the pillars is magical realism. And I didn't realize when I started reading this book that this is actually a magical realism book, on the fantasy side as well. Or how shall I say this? A cozy magical realism book. So I added this to my reading for that theme that I'm doing. And yeah, lovely, lovely book. Go and watch Julie's video about it. So the next book was a book that I read for Candy's reading challenge of the year on Story Graph. And July, it was about July heat wave. Read a book that's hot, hot, hot. Read a book that features heat in any way. Think sunshine, parasols on summer days, or spicy emotional reads. So the book that I chose was part of my reading columns as well, and it was, or pillars, it was in the South African pillar where I'm reading South African authors, and it was called An Instant in the Wind by Andre Brink. Now this book is so fascinating. It takes place in 1700s in South Africa, when there was still like a wilderness everywhere. And I didn't finish this book, not because it wasn't good, but because it was super, super triggering for me. What the story of the book is there was this Swedish man that went to South Africa to travel into the wilderness to find different plants and document them and dry them out and make illustrations and then send it back to Sweden or take it back to Sweden. And he arrived in South Africa. He got married to a lady there, and then they went she went with him on this expedition. Now, when I say wilderness, it is a wilderness. There's no roads or anything like that. It's just going into the wild, basically. And it's desolate, wild animals, really, really a harsh landscape. And something happens to everybody on this expedition, and the only survival is the wife. Now she's there in the middle of nowhere with, I think there were 2 oxen left alive, and that was basically it. And so a runaway slave finds her, and together they make their way back to civilization, as we call civilization, right? That it has different meanings for different people. But so the reason why this book, I couldn't finish it, is that the way he writes is so good that it places me right there in the landscape, in this wilderness. And some years ago, 2014, I went to South Africa at a bit of a difficult time in my life, and I stayed there for 6 months. And during that time, I rented a little car and I just went traveling, and I drove into this wildness of the country. Like certain roads, it feels like you're the only person left in the world. And when you stop your car and you open the door and you get out on the side of some little road, it's that feeling that you get is this immense loneliness, like desolation. There's just nobody else left in the world. And it was a very tough time for me. So when I read this book, it just brought back so much that I got halfway through, but then I just literally, I couldn't anymore. So this journey that I went on that just triggered, I actually wrote a book about it called A Dreamer's Life. And it describes that journey and how I got to that point of taking the journey and a little bit after. So yeah, if you're interested, it's on Amazon. It's called A Dreamer's Life, available there. So I didn't finish that book. However, I decided I still want to do a book on this July heat wave from Candy's book reading challenge. And so I chose another book that's also on my pillars under magical realism. I have that I want to read a lot more about Haruki Murakami. Although I've read almost everything, I haven't read a lot of his shorter stories, so maybe I will focus on that. But I just absolutely love his books. And one thing that Murakami said or says is that his favorite book ever is The Great Gatsby. And he even likes it so much that he translated it into Japanese. So I figured if I love Murakami so much and he loves F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby so much, then I have to read that book. So I haven't read it. I didn't read it before, so now I've read it. And wow, what a book. And such a nice cover, don't you think? Look at the back as well. It's really a lovely, lovely edition. I found it somewhere. I don't know where I found it. I can't remember now. Maybe on World of Books. And so, yeah, everybody knows about The Great Gatsby. It takes place in the 20s. It's after the First World War, and people are just a little bit decadent and having lots of parties, drinking and cocktails and driving their cars and having affairs. And it's just like a wild time, right? And so when I read this book, I read it with Murakami in my head. And I read him. This could have been a Murakami book. I was so surprised. He the way he writes the space, the setting, that's the word I was looking for, how he writes the setting and his use of words and images, it's absolutely like a Murakami book, even though it's not magical realism by any means, just the way he writes it. So I love this book, and I can see why Murakami loves it, because this is a Murakami book. So super, super enjoyed it, to my surprise. Really, really did. And then I did 2 Kindle books this month. So my goodness, I mean, that's a lot of books I've been working on for someone who thought she wasn't reading much. So on Kindle, if you know, I've mentioned this before, in the evenings when I go to bed, I take my Kindle with me and I just lie in bed and I hold my Kindle until I fall asleep. So for that, I just choose random books. I have no plan with what I'm going to read on the Kindle. And so the first one that I read was called The Blue by Nancy Beaulieu. And I love the cover, even though it's a black and white cover because my Kindle's black and white. But it's such a beautiful cover. And it says, how far will they go for the most coveted color in the world? And it's called The Blue. And then there was a little note here, fascinating Ian Rankin. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, if Ian Rankin likes the book, then I want to read it too, right? So I read this book, and it's such a good book about the color blue. Takes place in the 1700s, and it's this lay girl who wants to be an artist. Her family history is from the French Huguenots who moved and who escaped from France to England. And she wants to be an artist, but during those days it was hard to find a proper teacher, because if you were a girl, because they didn't think girls could do this kind of thing, this kind of art that she wants to do, because they couldn't view a naked body, it's like that's not allowed as a girl. So she couldn't really study this. But then at this party she meets this man who promises her that he will help her go to Venice, where she'll be able to study art, if she does this favor for him. And this favor is that she had to go to a town where they're doing where there's a porcelain factory, where they're working on a formula for the color blue to paint on the porcelain. Because this is the hardest color apparently to get right on the porcelain. And so she becomes a spy. So it's like this historical spy novel. And I loved it so much. What I really liked as well is the use of color in this book. The way the author Nancy Beaulieu writes about color, and everything just feels bright, and it just really was a really beautiful book. I can recommend it completely. And then the second book I read, let's see, this was the last book I read this month, and it's called The Twisted Tree by Rachel Berg. There we go. You can't hide from the darkness is the blurb on there. And I liked it because it had the two crows there and two crows at the bottom. The two crows at the bottom were like their skulls or their skeletons. So this was a little bit of a scary book, but not too scary because it's young adult, right? So it's not horrifyingly scary. But it is about this girl who goes to Norway, to an island there, to see her grandma, her mormor, because what happened was she went to visit her grandma before with her mum, and she fell out of a tree there, this twisted tree, and she lost her left eye, so she couldn't see out of this eye. And since then, whenever she touches someone's clothes or fabric that was made out of the clothes, she gets she knows things about them, about their feelings, about who they are, and that kind of thing. So she couldn't understand it. So she ran away from home and went to go and see her grandma. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, I give everything away. Very good book. Super enjoyed it. Yeah, young adult. I don't know, fantasy maybe. Not sure. So yeah, this was what I read this month, and I'd say the book I enjoyed most out of all of them has to be The Great Gatsby, to my surprise. I really, really enjoyed the book, and it was so nice and thin as well. It wasn't such a big book, but it was so powerful. So it shows me that, a book doesn't have to be this thick for it to be a good book. It can be just as thin, which makes sense because when I read poetry, I feel the same. Poetry has got the best writing. So, okay, so that was July. So for August, I am going to go for Uncanny August, which is on Candy's book chat reading thing. Read a book that unsettles reality. And the book I've chosen, I'm going to do a buddy read actually with Candy and I believe with Julie as well. Candy is from The Great Literary Rabbit Hole and Julie from Bookish Travels. We are going to read this book by Joanne Harris, Coastliners, for the Uncanny August book tag. And yeah, I got this book secondhand. Oh my goodness, I love Joanne Harris's books. That she writes so well. Chocolate, 5/4 of an Orange, Blackberry Wine. Oh, there's so many more. I think she wrote The Blue-Eyed Boy as well. Oh, scary. So she really has such a good way with words and with telling stories. So this book, I haven't read this one yet from her. It takes place also on an island, and it's about this woman that goes back home for some reason to this island, and the story goes on around there. So I haven't read it yet, of course, so I'm curious. So I'm really happy to read it with both Candy and Julie. And then I have another book under Uncanny August that I want to possibly read. This is a possibility. I'm not sure if I will get to it. And this is part of this is my fourth pillar under the South African authors, and it's called Zoo City by Lauren Beukes. That's how the cover looks. And I will read you and the back is like that. I love the artwork on this book. It's really, really cool. So it goes like this. Zinzi has a sloth on her back, a dirty 419 scam habit, and a talent for finding lost things. But when a little old lady turns up dead and the cops confiscate her last paycheck, she's forced to take on her least favorite kind of job, missing persons. So I think it's going to be really, really a good book because I've heard good things about it, and it was also the winner of the Arthur C. Clarke Award when it came out. I'm just really excited about reading this book. So I don't have much on my list for August because I got a few events coming up. And I will do more impulse reading, I think, this month than planning out. I'm going to go. I have a fair or a market that I attend every year in August, which I just absolutely love. It's in Skåne here in Sweden, and I have a tent there every year, and it's at a place called Hexenshus. I will link it below. It's like an alternative house fair. So at my tent, I do tarot card readings, and I also sell my book, all my books. But this year I'm just focusing on one of my books. So there's people selling crystals and shamanic crafts, and they make drums and just all different things. So love, love, love it. It's 2 days in late August on a weekend. So that's what I will be doing. And I'm also giving a talk on the 4th of August on Reiki, also here in Skåne. So I've got these things going on, but I'm sure there'll be lots of time for reading in between, but I'm not doing too much planning. So that was it for this month. I do wish you a happy reading for August, and do let me know, what did you read in July? How did you find reading in July? And I will see you next time. Bye.